Hey guys, we're going to be doing the homework for 8-2, and it's a little jumpy aroundy, but don't worry, whatever we didn't finish today, we're going to come back and finish those sections. Okay, so hopefully you did your lesson check, right? And here's our homework. So it says homework is questions 16 through 37, skipping a couple here and there in section 8.2, and we also need to make sure we jump to section 8.5 to do questions 17 and 18. Okay. So again, today and tomorrow, we're going to be doing some questions in 8.2 and 8.5. And that will be our third day for learning on chapter 8. So let's do it. Question 16 is the first one. It says, Jacinta's teacher asked her to find the tangent of y. So we have a triangle, right? And it's a right triangle, and the reference angle is y, correct? And so based on that reference angle, we're going to label our sides. Opposite the box is our hypotenuse, and then the last side is the adjacent. So what did our formulas say today? Well, it said the sine of a reference angle is opposite over the hypotenuse, correct? And the cosine of an angle is adjacent over hypotenuse. And the tangent of an angle is opposite over adjacent. Okay, so in this question, they'd like me to use the tangent formula. So the tangent of an angle is the tangent of my angle here. My reference angle is y. And what is my opposite side? My opposite side is 2, right? Tangent is opposite over adjacent. So the tangent of y is 2 over 6. So the tangent of y is 1/3. What was her error? So it looks like she flipped these sides. So she went, the tangent of the reference angle is adjacent over opposite. She flip-flopped these. Does that make sense? Shows she misused the formula or plugged it in wrong. So what does that mean here? Well, our opposite side, if you notice, our opposite side is xz. xz. And our adjacent side was xy. xy. And notice she flipped those upside down. All right, 25 to 29, let's take a look. So the cosine, we said the cosine of an angle is adjacent over hypotenuse. So if my reference angle is, I have a right triangle, here's my reference angle, I'm going to label this opposite. Opposite the box is the hypotenuse, and this is the adjacent side. So my cosine of x as my reference angle is 8 over 2 times the square root of 17, and the math gods will not allow that as a final answer. Nope. We'll come back and fix that, though. Let's keep going. Tangent of x. Well, the tangent of x would be opposite over adjacent. So what is the tangent of x? The tangent of x would be 2 is the opposite, and 8 is the adjacent. So we usually would want to leave our answer 1/4, right? So sine of y. So getting out my eraser, I have a different reference angle, and that's going to make all the difference in the world. So I have a right triangle, and they ask for me to make the reference angle y. So in reference to that angle, this is the opposite, and opposite the box is my hypotenuse, making this my adjacent side. So the sine of angle y would be opposite over hypotenuse, using my formula. So the sine of angle y would be opposite 8, hypotenuse, 2 times the square root of 17, math grumble of the math gods. I cannot leave my answer like this. I can leave it like that, though, so this one's fine. All right, let's keep going. Cosine of y. So cosine of y is adjacent over hypotenuse. So cosine of y would be adjacent. I've labeled 2, and gods are mad again. Last one, tangent. So the tangent of y is opposite over adjacent. So the tangent of y is opposite, I've labeled 8, adjacent 2. So we can clean this up. That'd be 4. So let's do a little work on these that need help, right? They need a little help. So just giving myself a little bit of room here because I want to work those out. Okay, so 8 over 2 times the square root of 17. I can multiply by a magical square root of 17 on the top and the bottom. The top would reduce to 4. 8 divided by 2 is 4. And also on the top is this. And then on the bottom, I have that. So that would be my final answer for number 25. 4 times the square root of 17 all over 17. Final answer. All right, that would also be the final answer here for this because I get the same quantity. So that'd be 4 times the square root of 17 all over 17. How would I, oh, this is close. The cosine of y, if the cosine of y is 2 over 2 over the square root, that would reduce to just 1 over the square root of 17. And if I multiply by my magical 1, I end up getting the square root of 17 in the numerator over 17. So that is my final answer. Cool. All right. Plugging right along, our homework extends to question number 36 and 37. So we have a right triangle, and they've asked for me to solve for AC. So I'm going to call that X. Let's solve for X. And I don't know what the reference angle is. So it's just really, it doesn't matter your reference angle. It literally doesn't matter. I'll just pick B because a lot of people like to pick not the one on top. So if I pick B as my reference angle, this would be opposite, and this is the hypotenuse, and this is the adjacent side. Right? So what are my trig functions? Well, the sine of an angle is opposite over hypotenuse. The cosine of an angle is adjacent over hypotenuse, and the tangent of an angle is opposite over adjacent. So let's see what we have. We have the opposite side, so we like this one, right? And we have the adjacent side 9. Adjacent side 9. So I don't get both. I don't get both. I got both. I'm going to use the tangent function. So the tangent of my angle, and now my reference angle is B. Okay, so I'm going to use tangent of angle B is opposite over adjacent. So the tangent of angle B is opposite X, adjacent 9. So how can I, and I know what B is. I should have plugged that in there. Let's go ahead and do that. Angle B is 31. So we're almost done here. We either do a Lynch swap or we just multiply by 9 on both sides. So we end up getting on this side, X is equal to 9 times the tangent of 31. Well, that's fine and dandy if you knew what tangent of 31 was. So let's find out the tangent of 31 by taking 31 and hitting tangent. So that is 0.6009. All right, so 9 times 0.6009 is 5.4. I'm rounding, but about 5.4. And we like that. That's a number less than 9. All right, BC. So using the same idea, can we solve for BC? This is, I'll call that y, I guess. Solve for a different side. So which trig function do I want? Using a different color, I still have 9 here, right, for my adjacent side, so I'd like that. And now I have y. I'm trying to solve for y, my hypotenuse. So I've got my hypotenuse. So notice this one got blue twice, right? I need my cosine. So the cosine of angle a reference angle is adjacent over hypotenuse. Here, plugging this in, we're still using angle B as our reference. That's 31 degrees. Our adjacent side is 9, and our hypotenuse is Y. So doing this swap, right, I move the Y here and the cosine of 31 down there. I can find my answer as long as I can figure out what the cosine of 31 is. So I hit 31 in cosine, and I find out that it is 0.857, right? So if I divide 9 by that number, I get approximately 10.5. All right, we'll keep it at that. And does that make sense? Well, yeah, it's a number bigger than 9, and that's what we were hoping for, a number bigger than 9. Cool. Okay, so we have all our homework done in this section. Now we're just going to go to 17 and 18. So let's scoot through here. Here it is, 17 and 18. All right, let's find these questions. It says the angle of elevation to the sun. Okay, so I have a sun in the sky. The angle of elevation is 21.5. What is the length of the shadow cast by a person 5 feet tall? So this is 5 feet. What is the length of the shadow? Okay, so I can't list it in feet and inches. So let's see. If this is feet, 1 foot is 12 inches, so that would be 60 inches. Notice this would cancel. Okay, so this would be 60 inches plus another 6 inches, so that would be 66 inches. Okay, I think that would be safer. All right, so that's the height of my person. This is my person, right? And this is my shadow. My shadow's living on the ground. What is the length of this shadow? So what we're solving for, we're going to make that x. Sound good? And I'll call that A because my reference angle. So I need to pick the right trig function, right? But let's go ahead and label based on our reference angle. So I'm going to label this opposite, and opposite the box is the hypotenuse. Then the last side we'll label adjacent. When I look at what I have here, I see that I know something about the opposite and something about the adjacent. So I'm hoping you're thinking, yeah, you guys, you need the tangent function, because the tangent function is opposite over adjacent, and that's what we have information about. Okay, so the tangent of angle A, and angle A is 21.5. And the opposite side is 66, and the adjacent side is x. Let's do the Lynch swap and then solve. So we have x and 66 divided by the tangent of 21.5. Sound good? Well, we're almost done, but we need to know what the tangent of 21.5 is. So we hit 21.5 and hit tangent, and we get 0.3939. Okay, so if I multiply that by 66, I get a really big number, 167.6 inches. Now let's see if that makes sense. Angle 22 is a pretty skinny angle. So I actually think that makes sense. If this is 66, this is 167.6. I think that's sounding pretty good. All right, last question. We have a right triangle. The tower hopefully makes a right angle from the ground. It doesn't look like a right angle because we're trying to make it look 3D. The height of the tower is 555 feet, and the angle from the ground is 74. Her eyes are also 5 feet off the ground. Sneaky, sneaky. And her line of sight is, so this is 5 feet off the ground, and that's a rectangle, right? So this would be 5 feet, and this would be 5 feet. Oh, but this would be this. That makes sense. This whole thing is 555 feet. Okay. How far is she from the monument? Okay, so here she is. Right, here she is, 5 feet off the ground, looking up And we really need to focus in on this triangle here, right? So here's our reference angle. Back to business here, right? We have opposite. This is hypotenuse, opposite the box, and this would be the adjacent side. And that's what we are solving for, her distance from the monument. So that'd be my adjacent side. Now thinking about what we have here, we have x is the adjacent side and opposite is 550. So I'm hoping you're thinking you like this tangent function again, right? The tangent of a reference angle is opposite over adjacent. Here, our reference angle is 74. Our opposite side is 550. Keep being careful that, we take into account that it's 5 feet off the ground, right? And the adjacent side is x. That's what we're solving for. So we can do a Lynch swap. And we could have our answer as long as we know, well, what is the tangent of 74? So let's find out. 74 tangent. So we get 8.602. Okay. And we'll do that. And I get our answer, 63.9. So I think that makes sense. If this is 555 feet tall, then the distance this is far away is 63.9 feet. Thanks for joining us, guys.